Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to Leadership Conversations with Laura Gleason, our team leader, and myself, Kristen Wilson. And today we're coming to you to talk about shift tactics 10 and 11. Tactic 10 is expand options, which really is creative financing. And 11 is master the market of the moment. And during the time the shift book was written, that looked like short sales, foreclosures, and REOs. We're actually going to do this in reverse. We're going to talk about master the market of the moment first and then move on to creative financing and those options. One of the things that Gary starts this chapter with, Laura, is that every market brings its own rhythm and its own rhyme. And in fact, the unique opportunities will show up in one market and disappear possibly in another. As a real estate professional, if you've been in the business for more than a minute, you probably noticed that some of your lead sources are not necessarily bringing the amount of leads that they previously did, and other lead sources now are coming back and winning in this market. So each shift has its own unique characteristics about it, with the possibilities and the prospects that are specific to that market.
Right.
Interesting, right? We talk to a lot of agents. Where do you see, Laura, the opportunities and characteristics of this market that maybe stand out differently than the previous market we were in?
Yeah, that's such a great question. I love the actual title of this chapter. Tactic 11 is Master the Market of the Moment. We've really been talking about that, Kristen, throughout this entire shift book, that markets are always shifting and our tactics and skills shift with them. Mm-hmm. And it's really about what I call being a professional and being skilled, right? In every type of market. And so what I would say about Tactic 11, while it focuses on what you said is Gary says that every market has different things that stand out that we need to become skilled in. And it focuses on short sales, foreclosures, and REO. To me, again, the overall message is master your market of the moment. What is your market doing right now that you need to get skilled at? And I want to say one thing about short sales, foreclosures, and REOs. It's not a huge part of our business here in Oregon right now, although Kristen Smith is an REO agent and she gets REO listings and definitely is a master at them, for example. But I would also say that it's really important to learn about these types of sales because they do happen in our business. And I want to share a personal story. During 2008, during the mortgage meltdown, I was newer in the business and every skill I learned was another tool I put in my tool belt.
Yeah.
And I had agents, I was learning short sales. I was learning all of that back then. And I had other agents that had been in the business longer than me that came to me and said, I don't want to learn it. I'm going to hand it over to you. Will you just pay me a referral? And so I gained business because I was willing to learn a new skill.
Yeah.
So that's where I would come back to with master the market of the moment, Tactic 11. There might be some parts of the country right now where you are learning short sales, foreclosures, and REOs, and that needs to be a skill you need to learn. I believe every agent needs to understand those nuances. They are there, Gary mentions a little bit about commercial real estate in this chapter, and it's its own ball of wax, right? You've got to learn it, and it's an important skill to have, or you got to hand it off to another agent.
Yeah, it's true.
So to me, when you asked me the question at the beginning about what is our market at the moment and what do we need to learn right now, I actually go back to Tactic 10, focus on creative financing solutions.
Yeah.
Because I really feel for us right now in our Oregon markets, that's really what's helping our agents get to the finish line.
It's true.
And the last chapter last week, we talked about buyers being able, ready, and willing. Okay. And that's really what creative financing is all about, is ability and motivation for both your buyers and your sellers. And what have we talked about through this, our entire conversations around the Shift book, is that professional realtors ask great questions.
Absolutely.
And that's where you're going to find out a seller's ability and their motivation. Because you're going to, and a buyer's ability and motivation, because you're going to ask great questions. And so what tactic 10 really talks about is creativity. And creativity really is what's going to get you to the finish line right now. It's not necessarily the skills that you had in our previous last 5 to 10 years in our markets, where your creative abilities were more about getting things done quickly. Now things have slowed down a bit. And in order to keep a transaction together all the way to the finish line, you've got to be able to be creative. And so that this chapter, or tactic 10, really talks about creative things sellers can do, creative things buyers can do, and creative things that our lenders can do to help us. And there are some suggestions in each of those categories for sellers, buyers, and lenders that may not necessarily work. They worked when this book was written, and they may not necessarily work now currently. So you want to remember that whatever you're doing to be creative, it needs to be ethical and it needs to be legal at the time that you're doing it. And then the other thing I would add is, to me, I say this all the time, raise your hand if you're a solo agent. I'll ask when I'm teaching in a classroom and people raise their hand. And I always say there's no such thing as a solo agent. Every single real estate agent out there has a team that gets us to the finish line. And the lenders right now are such a crucial, important part of our team. So choose them wisely, because they are going to get you to the finish line. And you may need different lenders for different clients. So that, they talk about that in these chapters as well, sitting down with your lenders, meeting with them, finding out what their specialties are, because different lenders have different specialties, and one lender may not be the right lender for a particular buyer.
Absolutely.
So those are the things that really stand out for me in these 2 chapters. We're almost done with this book. I look forward to finishing it up with you next week, wrapping it all up. And the entire book is really just built this momentum around being a skilled professional.
Yeah.
And these 2 chapters really hit home with that as well.
I agree with that. And I love that you bring that up, how crucial the lender is in this season. And it's obviously partnering with a great lender is important in every market. However, not every lender offers the same products or creative abilities. So one of the things that our company has done, which is so helpful, is we created a playbook called Mortgage Hacks. So if you want that, ask us for it. If you haven't got it, if you're with our company, you don't have it, 1, we're happy to share it with you.
Right.
And 2, if you're not with our company, you're watching this, please reach out, because we're happy to share it with you as well. Here's what I'm recommending to our agents and all the agents I coach across the country, is to take that playbook and sit down with their preferred lender and ask them, what of those strategies can they support, 1, and talk that through and gain knowledge about it, and who's the ideal client for that creative process.
Process.
And then build a team of additional lender support that could facilitate some of those other mortgage hacks. Then you have a full toolkit in your arsenal to help facilitate any buyer that you're working with, right? Whether that comes from buy downs or bridge loans, or working with, what to ask for and what to ask back, or what to negotiate in an offer, and assumable mortgage, whatever that looks like, right? Get your information, get your team set up so that you have an easier time winning with these strategies with your clients.
Yep. That's being a professional, Kristen. That's absolutely being a real estate professional.
Yeah. And you have to ask yourself, everyone has their preferred mortgage lender. That's fine. Ask yourself this: if they're not one size fits all, is it really serving your clients at the highest and best to only recommend that one lender?
Right.
Now, there are a few out there that can do so many things, right? But most of them can't do everything, right? So this is why we want to have, 3 or more great lenders that we have great partnerships with. I think the other thing is that, and I love that you brought this up, right? The thinking about the opportunities of the market. Well, it's a huge opportunity to help somebody to get through this lending process. 2, consider redefining affordability. Part of having the conversation with our clients today to even move them forward to speak with a lender is helping them redefine what affordability is. With the change in interest rates, affordability comes in different aspects. Obviously, the rate going up has changed in their mind the affordability. However, the way we're negotiating offers, less competing, less buyers buying, means affordability can show up in less money down, more things negotiated that help them for long term of the house, things like that. So work on those strategies and that conversation in this market. And I think that's a big part of the market of the moment, is being able to have the conversation of what does affordability look like now.
Yep.
I think the other opportunity in this market is working with investors, both going into investing and getting out of investing, right? And having that conversation with your clients, your sphere, your database, your client base, as to who are investors. Are they happy with their portfolio? Are they wanting to make a change, add to it, or altogether get out of being landlords?
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity. You mentioned commercial, and I just wanted to say, I heard this stat from the top commercial agent in Keller Williams around the country. And she said, over the next 3 years, over $1 trillion in commercial mortgage debt is going to come due for refi. So for anyone going through the classes now to become a commercial agent, there's a huge opportunity coming up for the market in commercial for those commercial clients who don't want to refi, who are looking for opportunities to get out and to move on. So I just wanted to make that known in case people don't know that there's a huge opportunity there.
Yeah.
Other opportunity, and we've been talking about this a lot, is a baby boomer age group is going to be the majority of our sellers in the next 3 to 5 years. So what would you want to learn? What would you be mastering now to be prepared if, let's say, 75% of your sellers that you were working with over the next 3 to 5 years were downsizing, or seniors, or were families selling their parents' property? So just a few things of stats and details that we know that are opportunities to come to look forward to. So
for our market of the moment, right?
Yeah, for our market of the moment, that's right. Yeah. So, great marketers, great salespeople will look at who's our target audience in this market. As you said, 2008, target audience, REOs.
Short sales, foreclosure. Yeah.
And still be some of those now, but who's going to be the majority seller? And then who's going to be the majority buyer?
Right.
That's what age group will be the majority buyer? Millennials.
Right.
You know how they like to be marketed to, talked to. Do you know what's important to them, right?
Do you have those skills? Are you learning those skills?
Yeah.
Right.
How are we getting in front of them?
Yeah.
How do we get in front of seniors and baby boomers? How do we get in front of millennials? Those are
different, and they're different.
They're very different. They are very different. So I love this conversation. We're here as always to help with classes and training and advancement to master these areas. It's what Laura and I love to do, what we're passionate about. And if we don't personally aren't the ones to teach it, we have a resource for you to learn it. So please just reach out to us. We're here to help you achieve all your goals as real estate business owners. And thank you so much. We're excited to wrap up this book next week. Final tactic is bulletproofing transactions.
Yeah. Yes. Bulletproofing, another important tactic. Definitely.
Right. All right. Thanks so much. Have a great Wednesday.
Bye, everybody.